And we're live. Um, a quick intro. I started playing disc golf last year, like a lot of people. 2020 was the big lockdown year, and I've had some friends back in Iceland that have played at a pretty decent level for a few years, and I've been, holding back, starting to play because I knew that it would be something I would, enjoy doing and want to do a lot. So I've been waiting, and 2020 was the year I started playing. And with that comes all the Jomes footage, watching all the tournaments and stuff, and you know, you quickly learn who are the good players and the most consistent players, and I remember watching this tournament, and I noticed this guy, wearing a casket and normally, usually wearing shades also, and not really like making a big deal of himself. Kind of seemed like very calm and chill and throwing very far. And then at the end of one of the tournaments where you actually won, the interviewer asked you something along the lines of, "How do you stay so calm and focused when the heat is on?" And the guy mentions Wim Hof breathing and meditation, and I was instantly sold. And the man is Eagle McMahon. Eagle, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Thor, for having me on. This is an honor.
Yeah, the honor is mine, man. I've been watching you from afar, over the net, and I have a lot of questions actually. But I kind of want to start, uh, almost from your childhood. You started playing when you were 9, and you went pro at 11.
Yes, I think I was 13 when I went pro, but honestly, I can't remember. But yes, I started playing when I was 9 years old, and I feel like most everybody, I didn't have aspirations of being a professional disc golfer when I started. It was a new concept to me, and my dad and I got into it at the same time. And for a while, it was just the thing that we did out in the park, just going out there to be outside. But as you know, as passions progress, you get more and more invested as time goes on, and before not, it was something I was doing as my job. So I've been playing disc golf for more than half my life now, and I can see myself playing it for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I mean, it's also really cool that you were started playing with your dad. I mean, I've been trying to get my kids. I have three girls. I've been trying to get them into it. They're not that into it, but I'm really overexcited. So I'm trying not to push it too hard on them to not scare them away. But it's a very like bonding friendly sport because you're walking in the woods or in nature and throwing discs, and there's a lot of time to talk. You're not really looking at a screen or a telephone or something while you're playing. So it sounds like it's a very good father son kind of bonding thing.
Yes, absolutely. And I think you made a good point just now. You're not looking at screens, and that's something that everybody in this day and age kind of falls victim to. They're on their phone way too much of the time, and I I'm one of them as well. When I'm home, when I'm sitting at the table, I have to fight the urge to look at my phone, and the one way to really get around that is to put yourself out in nature, and disc golf is a great catalyst for that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm guilty of that as well. I mean, it's so funny. Mine, you know, I have the telephone. Like just this morning, I was sitting. I have this like morning ritual now that I just kind of wake up and do a little stretching and stuff, and then I take a cup of coffee, and then I maybe listen to an audiobook or something while just sitting in the dark because I wake up way earlier than the rest of the family. And this morning, I was thinking like the telephone is right beside me, and I'm like actually fighting myself not to check, whatever there's on there, and it's insane because I don't want to be on it, but it's like a drug, man. It's really weird.
Yes,
Um,
it's exactly like a drug. The same people who design slot machines are have a lot of influence over what app designs are, and there's a lot of correlation. It releases dopamine in your brain when you look at your phone, and it becomes very addictive. I know from my experiences, when I roll over out of bed, the first thing I want to do is look at my phone. And I'm sure we'll get to it later in this podcast, but I try to execute a morning routine before even touching my phone because I don't want I don't want to see what's on social media, the news, and have that influence my day from the start.
No, because the thing is, like when you look at the phone, like right from the start, you instantly get the burden of the 7 billion people living here in your mind. You know, you're everywhere else but here, and it's a very stressful way to start the day. I've been reading a lot of books on sleep, and I've also developed this habit of not looking at a screen at least an hour before I go to bed because it stimulates your brain way too much. And that's actually a thing I
Mhm.
wanted to ask you about, because I mean, in disc golf, you are you're a big name. You're kind of a superstar. I mean, you have a lot of followers on social media and stuff like that, and like you're not that old. I mean, you're like 24 around there.
I'm 22.
22. Yeah, that's right. You're born in '98. Holy shit, I'm getting old. Uh, but I mean, how is it? What's it like to manage that? I mean, like people that are on social media, they like there's a big thing in the world right now where everyone wants to be a social media star, or have a lot of followers, and the likes equal love kind of thing. Do you are you conscious of that? And is it how do you manage that? Be having such a big following, and having so many people look up to you.
That's a great question, and I'm honestly still trying to figure that out myself because I am only 22, but luckily I got started with disc golf early, and I've had a lot of good people around me to guide me in the right direction. So starting when I was about 17 years old, that's when I went out to travel for the first time and really pursue disc golf on the national scene. And I started out by posting on Instagram and starting to post on YouTube, and I saw the followers start adding up on each and every platform. And there were certain times, I mean, when I was 18, 19, I was super young. I mean, still am young, but at that time, like it probably got to my head a little bit of the time. I got a little cocky, and I was like, "Oh, look how many followers I have." Um, but I really try to pull myself out of that mindset. Uh, I I see it as support. I see all my followers as the people who allow me to do what I'm able to do, and I see it as something that helps grow the sport. It's each and every one of those people is their own person, and I respect that. So the way I deal with it is unique. Lately, I've been trying to remove myself from it for to a certain extent, because I think when you have so many people trying to talk to you and message you, or even just knowing that you have at least some influence over such a large number of people, that can kind of get to your head and change the way you think. And for me, I really don't want that. I want to keep who Eagle is at his core because I like myself, and I think that's one important thing for a lot of people to realize. In order to have confidence in anything, you got to start first by you know learning to love yourself and building confidence from there. Because if you can't like yourself, then why should you expect anyone else to like you? Um, so really, just focusing on keeping a good headspace, just for your own individual self is really key for me, and that allows me to stay grounded, stay in the moment, and keep my eyes set on things to come.
Uh, I must say, you don't sound like a 22-year-old man. I wish I had that kind of thinking when I was 22. um,
I'm an
but I
old
like,
soul.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, and it's also important because, like you say, I mean, there's a lot of distractions out there, and if you want to really want to be the best at something, you have to be focused on the thing and not on all the things surrounding it. I mean, it happens a lot with musicians that they become superstars, and everything just kind of starts falling apart. Their music starts, it's not as good because they just kind of think they can wing it, it's, they don't have to put as much effort into it, and stuff like that. And there's a lot of distractions. So it's, I think it's very important that you have the mindset that you do. Um, Also, that's also one of the reasons, or the big reason I actually wrote to you. I actually didn't expect a response, to be honest, because like you say, I mean, there's a lot of people that want to talk to you, and there's a lot of people pulling, from all sides. But I think one of the very, important things for guys like you that have such a big following. I mean, I'm not sure you realize, looking at social media, how many guys there are that look up to you. I mean, I live in Europe, and everyone here in the disc golf community knows who you are, and they're watching your, videos and trying to throw like you and do stuff like that. So, um, like you said, I mean, all these people are their own persons, and there's a need for like positive, kind of role models in it, just in life in general. And the fact that you're 22 and you're already doing like breath work and meditation and stuff like that, it's very cool. I'm a big fan of Wim Hof, and I do a lot of yoga and stuff like that. And it's not everybody that sees it like this normal thing. Some people think I'm kind of some kind of, they're like, oh, you're some kind of hippie guy. I'm like, not really. I'm a metalhead, but I just like, feeling good. You know what I mean?
No, that's awesome. And when I saw your message and when you kind of described what you wanted to discuss, I immediately felt the connection. I'm like, okay, I wanna be on this podcast, because not knocking any of the podcasts within disc golf, but at a certain point, I feel like I exhaust a lot of what I can talk about within the sport, and this is a really great opportunity to talk about what goes on behind the scenes, some of the practices that I believe have a major influence on what I am able to do out on the course, and how I'm able to deal with adverse times in my life. Because when it comes to breathing or just mindset, I think everything stems from mindsets within those realms, and you can find a lot of power, a lot of motivation to keep going, get through hard times, but even push to new heights.
Yeah, one of the important things, about this, I mean, when I look at some of the tournaments on YouTube, like the Joe Mess Pro, like excellent coverage. It's like I've watched so many hours of disc golf last year. It's almost preposterous. But seeing some of the guys play, it's easy in the start of the rounds to, you just kind of thrown. There's no pressure. But when you're playing against top guys like Wysocki and Simon Lizotte and Kevin Jones and Paul McBeth and all these guys, I mean, you have to have a level head, because at some point you're going to be maybe on the final 5-6 holes, and there's maybe one or two strokes between everybody, and it really, I mean, when everyone's that skilled, it basically comes down to mindset. Who's able to keep his cool and put those putts away when, I mean, you can miss putts just because of nerves. I mean, something you've done maybe 1,000 times, but if you're nervous and you can't keep your cool, you risk missing. So it's really important to have that kind of mindset. And I'm thinking maybe we should just dive into it. I mean, yeah, I saw you posted this video about a month ago with your morning routine. Maybe if we should go through that a little bit, like how do you start your day?
Yes, the way I start my day, there are consistencies in my off season life, or when I'm not preparing for a tournament. But I'll say that every day, probably 95% of the time during the year, I'm waking up and I'm doing some sort of breath work or meditation for at least 10 minutes. For me, it's important to keep it at a time that I'm able to do it consistently. I'm always under, like, everyone has the goal. They want to meditate for an hour in the morning, and that's great. But for me, at this point in my life, I can't have that focus every day to do excess time meditating or breath work. So I start off with 10 minutes of Wim Hof or DMT style alkaline breathing. It's kind of at a high pace just to oxygenate my body, and I that gives me energy to start the day. That gets the wheels rolling, and pretty much after that, if I'm whether I'm at home, I go to the gym afterwards. I think it's important to humble yourself in the gym or just get moving because it's funny enough, like you think going to the gym will make you tired for the rest of the day. It's the complete opposite. Moving your body is literally better than having coffee, in my opinion. It gets the brain functioning so much better. You feel better about yourself. You have this confidence. So during the off season, I'm in the gym and I'm trying to hit it as hard as appropriate. I use the Whoop strap, so it kind of gauges my recovery and tracks my sleep. Uh,
Yeah.
I that's a part of my routine too. I try to get at least 8 hours a night because sleep is the best way for your body to recover. It's one of the easiest things to do that people don't do properly. I mean, it's literally resting. You can literally your job is to be lazy, and you're you're gonna gain so many benefits from it. But for a tournament, it really it depends. During a tournament weekend, I am doing I'm priming my body with a series of workouts to start to get my blood pumping to get that exercise coffee effect, and usually eat a good breakfast, try to be as healthy as I can, get to the course an hour or so before. This last year I started doing about 5 to 10 minutes of breath work before to kind of calm my nerves and really set my intentions for the round to come. Um, then my warm up, which I do. I don't know how many disc golfers are listening. I imagine there's probably about 50-50 because I was looking at some of your podcasts, and you get a wide variety of people on the ThorCast. But with disc golf, there's this trainer who works with a lot of the top athletes. His name's Seth at Disc Golf Strong, and he has a workout, a series of exercises that I do before a round that are really designed to get all the muscles activated before going to play a round of disc golf. So it really is optimizing your performance before you start the round and play the round, and then afterwards it's all about recovery. Recovery is really crucial just so you're able to feel your best the next day, whether that's foam rolling, taking a cold shower afterwards. I definitely take advantage of that when I'm out on the road, especially in places where it's really warm. So I like to take advantage of cold showers to alleviate, to ice the muscles, get the breath going. And then I like to before I go to bed, just kind of lay down and think about the day and do some more breath work.
Yeah, like one thing you said, about getting this consistent mindfulness thing going, meditating every day. I mean, I've also had the ambition of meditating, for an hour every day, and it doesn't always work out that way. It almost never does. But like one thing I try to keep in mind is that 10 minutes is a hell of a lot better than 0 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, just doing something, where you're conscious of what you're doing, every day, it translates into life, and also this kind of breath work. I mean, the Wim Hof is an excellent way to train your body and your breathing muscles, and what it does for a lot of people, for most people, I think, even though after a certain time when you've trained it, it creates this kind of focus on your breath, even though you're not really thinking about your breath. So you can very easily spot if you're getting nervous or stressed because your breath becomes shallower, and then if you're used to breathing consciously, you're going to notice that, very quickly, and that can, what's it called? That can help you, you know, find out if you're getting stressed before you get stressed during tournaments, for example, right? And then also
Yes.
the cold exposure. I do that a lot, actually. I mean, I go to the ocean multiple times a week, and it's freezing temperatures here. I mean, there's a little bit snow, and it's and it's for me, it's it's mental training more than everything. I mean, if I can go into that cold water and just calm my breath and find some kind of inner peace and just sit there and relax, even though my body is basically dying. I mean, if I'm in there long enough, I'm gonna die, and the body knows that. The body is panicking. But if I can find my calm there, I can also find my calm when I'm playing disc golf, or if my boss is an asshole on that day, or whatever stress life throws at me. You know what I mean?
Yes, I completely relate. It's nature is humbling, and putting yourself in such a vulnerable position where you have to choose between fight or flight and calming your nervous system when things suck. Like no one, I'm pretty sure everyone who does cold exposure, they like the result of it, but no one likes getting cold. Everyone would rather take a hot shower. Like one of the things is like whenever I tell people, oh, you gotta try a cold shower, you feel so empowered. It's like, but I love myself. I want to take a hot shower. You're crazy, and I'm like, you think I like it? You think I like doing it too? No, it's just the empowerment, the confidence that you gain from taking a cold shower, putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation. It translates to so many different areas of life that it's some people think you're silly when you say, "Oh, just go take a cold shower. It's gonna make you tougher in life." And it's it does. It really does. There's been a lot of times out on the course where I've been just a terrible mindset, and I just kind of look back to my training. I'm like, this sucks. So does a cold shower, but guess what? It passes. You're gonna get through it. You're gonna feel warm again at a time, and use this as strength. Use this moment of suck to build on. It's you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And if you look at almost anyone who's successful in life, that's what they've mastered doing. Or they haven't even mastered it. They just do it better than the average person.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you look at like, martial artists, guys that fight for a living. I mean, those guys are used to a lot of the most, uncomfortable situations I can think of. I mean, getting punched in the face it does not feel good. Um, and those guys are almost always very calm. It's because hardship creates character. And if you don't have anything in your life, if you don't, like going the cold exposure, it's basically stress training. You're training the stress response in your body and how to deal with it. And because the stress response in cold water is not, it's the same as if you're just stressed because of the electrical bill or whatever your stress factors may be. And training how you deal with the stress is very important. And that's why a lot of people are actually, there's a lot of people struggling out there with stress, and that's because they don't know how to deal with it. And if you just, know how to mentally prepare yourself for those kind of situations, you're going to have a better life. I mean, and then, like you said, I mean, being comfortable with being uncomfortable, that's a really, really big life lesson. And I think it's gonna do a lot of people good if they just try to do something like, and also like you said, pushing yourself in the gym and like doing it, there was someone that said like most people quit at 40%, right? It gets a little
David
uncomfortable.
Goggins said that.
Yeah, exactly. I love that guy, man. He's really he's inspirational. Also a little crazy, but
Oh yeah.
but I mean, but then there's also another thing I kind of wanted to discuss with you along the lines of this. You mentioned recovery. Recovery is very important. I just read the book Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. I don't know if you know it. I can highly recommend it. Um, and he
I've
talks.
listened to some podcasts with Matthew Walker. He's been on the Joe Rogan Experience, I
Yeah,
believe, and impact theory. I've heard some of his of what he teaches, and I've definitely applied some of it to my sleep practices.
Yeah, I mean, we listen to the same podcasts. I can hear.
Uh-huh.
um, but about in on the lines of recovery, do you do any like prehab? Do you like do something? I've been thinking because I have had a lot of injuries in my life. I mean, I have had a couple of slip discs and I have arthritis in my back, and I did a lot of powerlifting when I was younger and a lot of skull crushers. I don't know if you know that. Movement, but I did a lot of very heavy skull crushers, and it kind of messed with my right elbow, and I can feel it now when I try to throw the sidearm that it hurts a lot because my elbow is, it's pretty messed up, already. But do you think ahead of time? I mean, you are 22 and you still have a lot of these youth hormones in your body, and you're actually it's a very good age. It's kind of the age of immortality. I mean, I can remember when I was in my early 20s. I mean, I thought nothing can harm me, man. I can do whatever I want. But are you thinking ahead with this kind of stuff and doing something to like prevent or not? Yeah, prevent injuries, but also like making sure that you can still do this at 30 or 35 or 40.
I'm doing prehab so I can do it next week.
Oh,
The funny thing is, the answer is yes. I'm taking prehab seriously, and it's in my journey of a professional disc golfer. So a lot of people think you don't need to be an athlete to be a disc golf athlete, and that's
mm,
really true to a certain extent. You can, if you look at videos of me throwing back when I was 17, 18 years old, I was so unathletic, and I'm still trying to become more and more athletic. Um, my upbringing, I didn't really play any team sports. Really, the only thing I did was hiking and biking. So when it came to hand-eye coordination, there not not much. Uh, I never went to the gym as a kid, or didn't have. My dad pushed me when it came to hiking, so it was more endurance related. But I never really had a. I really never built any muscle or hand-eye coordination. So I was this lanky kid, and I had all the talent in the world for disc golf, but it wasn't till 2018 that things kind of took a shift for me. Before that, I never won a big event. I was knocking on the door, and that could have been because I was really young, and it was probably more mental than anything. But mental and hitting the gym, physical activities, they're all intertwined. The better you feel, the usually that's because you're more fit. Um, 2018, I went to Switzerland, and I was introduced to off-season training and realized, okay, this is the next step to becoming a more well-versed athlete. And it's pretty obvious, but for some reason that mindset wasn't really within disc golf. So Simon Lazat and myself, we trained for a month and a half in Switzerland, and that really kick-started my journey into taking care of myself during the year, warming up, having a warm up routine before a round, and I've really just built on that from that point. And with disc golf going where it is, there's 22 events this coming year, and 11 of those said events are going to be back to back. So there's really no time. Your body's going to break down, and the only way you can stay on top of it is knowing the exercises, going to the gym, staying on top of recovery, so you're able to continue to compete. Otherwise, your body's going to break down. Um, and the thing I always get is, oh, Eagle, you're 22. You must be made of rubber. You shouldn't have a problem. You have all the energy in the world. I've been playing since I was 9 years old, and the amount of throws I've thrown, I'm gonna put a bet on. I've thrown millions and millions of shots, and whoever's thrown a disc, they probably know that can after a round of throwing hard, you can feel some soreness in your arm. So just thinking about doing that millions of times, there's going to be some overuse injuries from that. Um, so I'm taking it upon myself. This off season, I've been very productive. I have really good people to give me the right exercises I need to do during the season to stay strong, because that's crucial for longevity within the sport. I hope to be doing this when I'm 50 years old, and if you want to do that now, if you want to do that, you have to start now, and I'm going to do my best.
Yeah, that's a really healthy attitude because not only are you making sure you can play disc golf at 50, you're also making sure that you can lift your arms at 50, right? I mean, who wants to be a 50 or 60-year-old and you can't do anything? And this is going to, it is going to wear on your body. I mean, I'm in good shape. I've always trained a lot, and I've had some rotator cuff injuries a few years back. It's because I didn't warm up before bench pressing heavy. And at one point I got this like bad injury in my right arm. I couldn't lift my arm, like not even up to shoulder height, let alone get it over my head. And that was the last time I actually injured my shoulder, because after that I started doing all this. I bought like these rubber bands, and I've been doing these rotator cuff movements, and I do them every week, multiple times a week, and most definitely every time I'm going to train. And I can really feel it now after I started playing a little bit of disc golf. I mean, I'm just a very casual player. I just do it for the fun of it, and I'm really into it right now. Actually, I mean, I really have this kind of newbie vibe going on. I just want to buy all the discs and play all the time. But but I can feel it. I mean, if I don't do some kind of warm up before I throw, it can really hurt my shoulders. And I've had some friends that have actually got like injured in their shoulders because they don't think about this kind of stuff, and they're casual players. So like guys like you that are playing every day all the time, I mean, it's very important actually to look out for your body. I mean, but you've had a couple of injuries, haven't you? I noticed something like I was reading a little bit on the internet about you, and you got a boxer's fracture in your hand. I'm kind of curious, were you boxing or what happened there?
Well, I was hoping you would bring this up. Yeah, so this was in 2019, so a little over a year ago. It was United States Disc Golf Championships, which is one of the biggest disc golf tournaments. Coming down the stretch of the third round on the 16th hole, I was near the lead of the tournament. I think I was losing by one. I threw a great shot, was within close distance of the basket. I missed an easy shot, and I was frustrated, and I punched the ground because of frustration. And right there, I knew it didn't feel quite right. I finished out the round, and funny enough, at the end of the round, I was winning the tournament. And everyone, like afterwards, usually whoever's winning the tournament, they're going to want to interview you to see what your mindset is going into the next day. And I felt so embarrassed. I felt so dumb that I kind of ran away because I didn't want to deal with anybody. I didn't want to say anything because I didn't know like what the heck was actually going on. And I met up with my friends. I went out to eat, and I was telling them, this does not feel good. This really doesn't feel good. And they're like, oh, just sleep on it, see if it feels better the next day. Woke up, it felt worse. My whole hand was swollen. Talking to my dad, and I'm like, I think I need to go to an urgent care and get an X-ray. Go to the urgent care, and they take X-rays, and they're like, you have a boxer's fracture. And I'm like, so I can't play the tournament? And they're like, no, you can't play the final day. And it was a whole emotional roller coaster. I ended up going against doctor's orders. I decided, all right, I'm going to play the next day. I ended up throwing forehand sidearm the entire last round, going from first place to seventh place. And it was so painful to watch because the winner, who was on the same card, shot over par the final round to win the tournament. And I'm not I'm not knocking him at all because he definitely earned it, but just knowing that if I hadn't punched the ground like a total idiot, I would I would have had a good chance of winning one of the biggest disc golf tournaments. And that I was into Wim Hof breathing. I was always into getting mentally tougher then, but that was a real turning point in my career and in life because it really showed me that I can't afford to go unconscious in moments and let my anger get the better of me. And not to say I'm not going to get angry because I've come to accept that that's a part of human nature and it's healthy. You don't want to suppress your anger, but the way you deal with it is the most important. I think by the best way to control your anger is first by taking full accountability of your actions, and then we can start talking. Once you do that and you can say, okay, I'm this kind of person, and then start building on top of that, building different methods to cope with your anger, tough times. That's really important. And everyone always still gives me a tough time for punching the ground, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. It was something stupid, but it's something that I can honestly say is going to make me a better person because I'm going to learn from that mistake and hopefully have some more compassion for people who do that because I realize that it is tough, but realizing that it is tough and getting your mind out of that as soon as possible and thinking about what you're grateful for is what's going to help you pull yourself out of those dark thought patterns.
Yeah, I mean, and stupid mistakes, they if you use them correctly, they're going to lead to some good stuff. I mean, this people might give you a hard time about this, but I mean, it sounds to me like you should be happy that this happened because you're going to remember this. And like you said, I mean, this was a big pivotal point in terms of your mindset. It just shows the importance of training your mind. I mean, a lot of people don't actually think about that. I do some volunteer work with some kids here in Denmark that are, it's kind of it's a program where kids that don't believe in themselves, they kind of have low self-esteem and they maybe don't, they think they're not good enough or stuff like that. They need some confidence and stuff like that. It's kind of a mental training program, and I've also been teaching or helping some young 14-year-olds, guys from the local school here getting started with what's it called, weight training and stuff like that. And I've been telling them, like, you have to come to terms with your emotions. I mean, especially with young boys and young guys. I mean, a lot of them think that having emotions is kind of a sign of weakness, but I mean, we all have them. I mean, everyone has, sadness and anxiety and anger and happiness and all these emotions in them. I mean, we all do it. It's like you said. I mean, it's how you relate to these feelings and what you do when they're there. I mean, if you feel something in your stomach, you get some weird feeling and you don't know what anxiety or stress or something like that is. You have no idea what's going on, and you can get carried away with it. So it's I love the breathing thing. I mean, breathing has become huge in my life, and for a reason. And maybe we should just, like, real quick, for those listening that maybe are thinking, what the hell is this Wim Hof thing they're talking about? We didn't kind of go through that. I mean, maybe real quick. I mean, what is the Wim Hof method?
Yeah, so the Wim Hof method essentially is this guy from the Netherlands. They call him the Iceman. He has so many world records for all these crazy achievements. They vary from running a marathon in the North Pole to hiking Mount Everest in shorts and a t-shirt. And it goes even beyond that. They injected him with I believe an E. coli type virus
Yes.
into
Yeah.
his veins, and just by breathing, he was able to uh, take control of his immune system and completely rid his body of the virus just through breath work. And his whole philosophy is that we are in control of our bodies by way of our breath. We can make ourselves more resilient to anything in our life, whether it be cold, strengthening our immune systems, or dealing with emotions by the power of breath. Um, and by breathing, you can tap into the nervous system, control the nervous system, the immune system, tap into different parts of the brain to control adrenaline just by the power of breath. And that's just when I heard that and saw what he did, the first thing I did was I started breathing because I figured, if it's just breathing, that's so simple. It's like that's what it's going to take to go climb Mount Everest, shorts and a t-shirt. And it's obviously more complicated than that, but I see how he is able to do it by doing some of the practices myself, and it's very empowering.
Yeah, and it is very simple. I mean, it's simple. Is not, it doesn't mean easy, but I mean, it is basically breathing and mindset. I mean, he was a yogi for many years, and a lot of the techniques he does, it's kind of, he picked apart a lot of yoga breathing techniques and stuff like that, and kind of mixed it all together and made his kind of his own kind of thing. And like we talked about earlier, this doesn't really matter which kind of breathing training you or breath work you do. I mean, it all of it makes you unconsciously conscious of your breathing. And the first sign of stress and stuff like that is usually your breathing. I mean, your breathing gets shallow. You're doing this kind of chest breathing thing. You're not really using your diaphragm and stuff like that. And I wish more people would give it a chance, because it was really good. It also gets you high. So I mean that's also a part of it. I mean, you mentioned the DMT release thing earlier. I mean, I've actually been a helper. There's this one guy here in Denmark that's he's like a certified Wim Hof instructor, and because I teach a little bit of yoga, I was helping him. Like I was like a helper on some of his seminars, and I've seen some incredible things when we were doing these breathing sessions. I mean, we did sessions that were like an hour long, where people would just like do round after round after round of Wim Hof breathing, and some of the people, I mean, you could just see it in their eyes. They were not there anymore. You know what I mean? And all of them came out of it like with these very nice stories. I mean, some of them were working through trauma and stuff like that, and I'm a huge fan, and also of the cold exposure. Do you do something else, like some other types of breathing?
I,
Something else?
I've I've tried a few other different methods. One is I haven't really done more than, let's say, an hour of breathing or holotropic type breathing, because I kind of freak myself out once I go
That's a
that
powerful one.
far. There's this one breathing exercise that's it's guided and on YouTube, that if I do it 2 times, my whole body is pulsating and tingling, and I just feel like I'm one with the universe. It sounds so hippie and cliche, but I don't even know how else to describe it. Um, but I feel like if I kept doing it, it's a little scary because I don't know what might happen. Because essentially, what holotropic breathing is it's similar to hyperventilating. So yeah, I've tried that. There's a few other one other teacher that I really like is Dr. Joe Dispenza. He does some breathing techniques. It's similar to Wim Hof Method, but it's a little bit more intense. It's really kind of focusing or imagining where your breath is going. So basically breathing up through the pelvic floor, through your lower abdomen, through your chest, up through your pineal gland, and just that whole process, and really breathing intense. That's a good one. That's a definite good one for sure. But I'd say most of all, I keep it simple with the Wim Hof method because it's uh, it's it's the easiest one for me to maintain with my daily schedule at the moment because it takes a little over 10 minutes, 3 rounds, and each breath hold for me is usually anywhere from a minute to 2 minutes.
Yeah, and Wim Hof also has like now. I mean, he's become really mainstream. I mean, they have an app, and there's a lot of
Hmm.
videos on YouTube with the guided sessions and all that. And holotropic breathwork, I've also done that. That is really intense. I mean, the guy who invented it, Stanislav Grof. I mean, he was the one of the pioneer LSD psychedelic researchers in the '60s. And
Hmm.
when they banned all the psychedelics, he developed holotropic breathing to mimic the effects of LSD. So I mean, it's really powerful. And I mean, I actually pulled a muscle doing it in my calf. I have no idea how, but I mean, I just started cramping and I actually pulled a muscle. So it's better done with a sitter, they say. And like you say, I mean, to do it alone and then just kind of keep going beyond the hour. I'm not sure it's a good idea. You should probably have someone there.
Yeah, I definitely recommend if you're going to get into the holotropic breathing, try to do it in a group environment that's a professional's guiding it. Um, but yeah, it definitely can be powerful, and you know, they're probably whoever's listening probably think, oh, listen to a bunch of these hippies saying, saying DMT, LSD. This is the power our own human body has. DMT is a chemical within our brain that, with proper techniques, can release on its own. So it's not anything illegal. It's something that's in our DNA, and I think that's the thing that intrigues me the most. I for one, I don't do any drugs. I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke any weed or anything along those lines. It's legal where I am in Colorado, but I don't partake in any of that because I value my clarity and I value maybe the one drug that you can probably argue is caffeine. I Caffeine
Yeah.
definitely is something that definitely affects my state of consciousnly. I'm very sensitive to it, but I use it in my workouts because I feel like I'll be a lot more productive. Um, but I really value my my sobriety because I feel like if I feel something, that's me feeling it. I'm not going to have uh, an outside substance affecting that because if I feel something wrong within my body or if I feel tired or whatever, I don't want to rely on some drug to make me feel better. Of course, there's some exceptions for if you have clinical depression or something, then I recommend seeking a doctor. But if you're able to, I think it's important to try to be as pure as possible.
Yeah, and I mean, and like one of the many one-liners Wim Hof has, it's basically getting high on your own supply. And I mean, if you can do that, you don't need all the other stuff. And it's actually, I mean, they've been using this a lot, and they're always researching more and more. And people that have, very bad anxiety and depression and stuff like that, they are getting really good results with doing these kind of techniques with mindfulness and breathing and stuff. And it's, I mean, my crowd that listening to this podcast, they're used to hearing about all kinds of stuff. I mean, I've had some breathwork, experts on and stuff like that, and a shaman, and I like to talk to everybody. I'm very curious, and it's just, I
Hmm.
mean, why not? I'm willing to try almost everything once just to see how it feels like. And I say almost because there's obviously things that I'm not gonna try. I'm not gonna do heroin or kill somebody or something, but but I mean, I've I even tried healing once. Not my cup of tea, but I tried it just to see how it was, and I mean, it was nice. I'm just lying there, and it felt nice, but I don't know.
Keeping an open mind is key. Very important.
Yeah,
The It's very important, but the way I think of it is you want to have an open mind, but you don't want to have it be so open that your brain falls out. So
no,
having a little bit of structure is good. You want to be alert. You want to look out for your best interests, but definitely don't say no to everything.
no, exactly, and also, yeah, like you say, keep a critical mind because there's also a lot of, you know, to start with, there's a lot of bad people out there that want to take advantage of you, and there's also a lot of pitfalls and stuff that's outright dangerous. So do everything you want if it feels right in your gut. Go with your gut feeling, and that's also a thing that a lot of people are losing. I mean, they sometimes you can just feel that something's off, and it's
Hmm.
almost always good to go with that feeling. If you feel it's off, then it probably is.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
yeah, we're closing up on the hour here, and uh, there's a couple more things I kind of wanted to ask you about. You mentioned that you were in Switzerland. You and Simon are friends. I kind of can see from YouTube. He's from Germany, right?
Yeah, he's born and raised in Germany.
But I just kind of wanted to ask you: have you been in Europe? Like apart from that, traveled here and maybe played some of the disc golf tournaments here?
I've been to Europe 7 times.
Oh,
Yeah, usually I come over and I spend most of my time in Scandinavia, or they don't really Scandinavia. They don't really count Finland as Scandinavia, but I call it Scandinavia anyway.
yeah, I do
Um,
too, man. I love those
uh,
guys.
and the European Open is a event that I hold near and dear to my heart. It's one of the three majors that takes place every other year, but it's going to end up being every other year with COVID right now, but they were trying to get it to be every year. But, I enjoy my time in Finland. I've been to Sweden once, been to Norway, Estonia, Czech Republic, Germany, Switzerland, and I've most of those are all because of disc golf related reasons. And unfortunately, due to COVID, I didn't get come to Europe last year. I was planning to I was gonna play an event in Denmark, Austria, but unfortunately, I was unable to get to those events. But anytime I can get to Europe, I always enjoy myself. I enjoy the people and the different cultures. It's one of the most rewarding experiences for me, and I think it's just the culture shock that I like the most. I'm sure a lot of Europeans probably would love to come to the U.S. just to see something different, and that's kind of the same coming from a U.S. guy going to Europe. It's that you hear so many great things when you're growing up. So the fact that I've been able to meet some of the people there and experience the cultures, it's been really spectacular.
Uh, you should go to Iceland, man. If you're into nature and
Yes.
hiking, especially if you're into hiking, man, Iceland is fantastic. I'm obviously a little biased because I'm from there, but when I lived there, I didn't really think about nature, and I was kind of like, didn't really, I don't know. I wasn't that kind of guy. There's mountains and everything, but you get used to it. But now, when I moved to Denmark, which is basically just completely flat, I really, really miss it because it's really a lot of raw power there, and there's a lot of
Hmm.
cold water, like the glaciers, the rivers that run from the
Yes.
glaciers. They're always cold, so you can, even if it's warm outside, you can still find freezing cold water, which is a very nice contrast.
Iceland is high on my list on places I want to go to. I was talking to one of the more prominent disc golf figures from Iceland, and we were trying to plan a little bit of a tour there. That was last year. Probably nothing happening this year because I don't know what travel restrictions there are. But yeah, the only experience I have involving Iceland, I transited through Iceland on my way back to the U.S., but I got to fly over it and look down, and I saw the landscape, and I was like, "Whoa! I definitely need to make an effort to come here."
Uh, Disc golf is also really big in Iceland. I mean, in the capital, I think there's about 200,000 people living in the capital, and they have like 13 disc golf courses there.
Wow, that's awesome.
So yeah, I mean it's a really big sport. I mean Icelanders, they always go big on everything. I mean you can, if you look at CrossFit or whatever.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean or the strongman and all that. I mean I don't understand how we can. Well, I actually understand a little bit how we can have so much talent. It's because I think my theory is it's because of the raw forces of nature we have there. I mean it's really really like when it's really storming, you kind of don't go outside. I mean there's a lot of snow and a lot of wind and all the mountains and the lava. The yeah. I mean it's just hardships create hard people, I
Hmm.
guess. I actually look forward to going there. I was there last year. We managed, like, the country was open for about 4 weeks, and we bought a ticket, me and the family, and went over for 3 weeks, and it was amazing. And there was actually there I started playing disc golf. I had a friend, and we wanted to meet up and just like have a chat. An old friend of mine, and he just suggested that maybe we should just do a disc golf round, and I can loan you some discs. And I was like, all right, I'll try it, and instantly hooked. So so that was a that was a good thing, and now I just can't stop playing.
That's awesome.
Um, but I mean, you've been with Discmania like always, haven't you?
Yeah, gosh, it was 2014, so I've been with Discmania for going on 7 years now.
I mean, I imagine like every athlete and basically everyone who's doing something in the public eye, they always want sponsors because it's you feel like it's kind of a stamp of validation of sorts that someone actually thinks you're good enough to sponsor you. I mean, so I kind of wanted to ask you about what um, what do you think about like loyalty in terms of like stuff like this? I mean, obviously you must be happy to be there, but I mean, a lot of guys are switching back and forth, and I don't know. My question is maybe is it because you really like their discs, or is it because they helped you when you were young, or is it a mixture of both, or like how does that work?
It's it's a really cool relationship I have with Discmania, and from the from my position, knowing a lot of the people within the sport, knowing my values, I believe that Discmania is the best place for me to be. And since my relation, the the circumstances, the circumstances have always been different when I was negotiating with Discmania on new contracts. To start out, it was my first sponsor. They took a chance on me because they didn't know if this kid was going to be good, and then the next contract was like, "Whoa, this kid's pretty good. You know, we want to give him some more incentives." And then it was like, "Oh, this kid's winning now. Now we have to pay. We're going to pay him some more money." And the fact that we have been able to see eye to eye every time we have been negotiating, uh, it speaks volumes because it shows that we're both growing. Um,
Hmm.
I'm all for finding a win-win situation, and with Discmania, we've been able to find a win-win every single time we've gone into agreement together.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm new, so I just kind of buy everything. But my putter is the Sensei. I like that one because
Nice.
it's a kind of a calm, figure, and it was the first one, and it's the one I learned or am learning to putt with. So I like it a lot. But I mean, I buy basically everything. I actually found one that's called Thor. I can't remember the manufacturer. I
Oh,
just bought it to
perfect.
put it on the wall. I think it's right here. It's actually Viking Discs. I have no idea if it's good or not, but I mean Thor.
Yeah,
It's right there on the wall, man.
yeah. I think Viking Discs is a Finnish brand.
Yeah. So is this
Hmm.
Mania, right? Or are they from Sweden?
They're from Finland. Yep.
From Finland, yeah.
The
Yeah,
owner
because
the owner is from Finland, and mo most of the operations are now out of it's they have two offices. They have an office in the U.S. and now they still have an office over in Finland, and they're 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 for different operations.
yeah, because my idea is like I buy mostly Scandinavian stuff because there are a few brands here. They have in Finland. They also have Latitude 64.
Oh yeah.
And then there's these new Danish guys. I'm trying to support them a lot because I mean it's a small startup. They're just starting making one putter, and they're called Loft Discs. If someone out there is interested, they have this Kickstarter campaign right now. I'm not sponsored or anything. I don't have anything to do with it. They're young guys and they're going after their dream, and I'm all for it, man. Like people, like yourself. I mean, you really went after it. And I mean, you're 22 and you're basically living it, man. It's actually pretty cool.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's I I have to remind myself sometimes that like holy shit. I'm I'm doing it. I'm living the dream that I set out for myself for at one point in my life, and just you gotta surround yourself with gratitude for it, and I know I am grateful for my position.
Yeah, and you sound like you have the right mindset to keep going. I mean, like I said before, I mean, I don't know if you really realize how big you actually are in this golf community, but I mean, it's I find it impressive, that you're able to keep such a level head and keep grounded because it's a very important thing. And I mean, everyone likes a successful person who's down to earth. You know what I mean? No one
Hmm.
likes the cocky guy. So it's
Yeah.
uh, it's definitely the right things you're doing. We've, I mean, I figure I've. Is there anything else that you kind of want to mention? You want to finish on maybe, or
Um, I think we're good. This has been awesome. I've loved talking more on the mindset side, talking about the things that make me seem like a hippie. But I
it's cool
enjoy
to
my
be a hippie, man.
it definitely is, and I've definitely found value with those practices in my life. So, and I'm glad to see that you know I'm in the U.S. right now, and Thor's in Denmark. So there's like-minded people all over the world, and I think the more we can connect with those people, the stronger the world will be.
Yeah, exactly, and spread the word. I mean, like these kind of things, like all this with yoga and medicine. Like I've been laughed at a lot. I mean, I've done construction work most of my life, and being on building sites, talking about, yeah, I'm gonna do I do yoga and I teach a little bit yoga, and guys are like, oh, you have to wear tight pants and stuff like that, and I'm like, dude, go eat your pills and be in pain. I'm just gonna go stretch and do something about my problems. That usually shuts them up because I mean, doing something about the root of the problem is crucial. And I mean, yoga doesn't have to be worshiping Buddha or any worshiping anything. I mean, it's basically, you can just call it stretching if you're uncomfortable with it. You know
And
what I
it's
mean?
tough.
It is.
It's tough to do.
Yeah. I mean,
Anyone who discounts yoga and is like, "Oh, look at you, you're doing yoga." It's like, well, you try it. It's not easy.
no, because it's also like people actually misunderstand it. They think it's all about flexibility, but it's also a lot about strength.
Hmm.
I mean, I would encourage everyone out there to put your hands up here like this and try and hold them there for like 2 or 3 minutes. See how that goes.
Hmm.
That's just some of the things you do in yoga. You're doing the warrior poses and stuff. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
it's actually really hard. Um, but Eagle, this has been a real pleasure, man. I mean, I'm really glad that you said yes to this. Like I said before, I mean, I think it's very important that people that have, such a big following are spreading the word about these techniques. And I mean, all the young guys, I'm actually building my own course here by the local school. We're going to do a 9-hole course just to get the young kids,
Very
involved in
cool.
this. And hearing people like you talk about it, I mean, it's going to inspire a lot of kids to maybe get started on not only disc golf but also like thinking about, okay, how can I actually get all 100% out of this? How can I
Hmm.
be in the right mindset to actually succeed? So it's a really important talk, and if you ever want to do it again, I mean, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'd love to be back on, and thank you for giving me this platform. And it's it's a it's a unique platform for what I'm used to. So that's why I felt the draw. And thanks for making it happen, Thor.
Yeah, no problem, man. One thing I have to ask you before I let you go. I kind of ask everyone this in the start, or or at the end of the show. If you, like, with all your knowledge and experience that you have today, if you could give your 16-year-old self one advice, what would you say to a 16-year-old Eagle?
Great question. I would say this is I always think about an answer like this is take full accountability for your actions. I think I like that one.
Yeah, there's wisdom in that for sure, man. Thanks a lot for being here. It was a real pleasure, and I'll talk to you soon, I hope.
Yep. Thanks, Thor.